Welcome back to Nutritherapy. We are on video 3, discussing addiction and eating disorders. You might not think that these two afflictions go together, but I think you will see how I'm going to incorporate them. The roots of addiction are certainly not clearly understood, although we do know some of the reasons why some people are more susceptible, why some people can enjoy alcohol or smoking or even street drugs and never become addicted, while others do from their very first sip, hit, or high. I'm using the word addiction in this video to be all-encompassing, as we're talking about the body and the brain's biochemistry in the state of addiction. So I'm including food addiction, exercise addiction, orthorexia. You may not have heard of that one. That's the addiction to healthy food. I'm including porn addiction, sex addiction, and of course, addiction to substances of any kind. It is not really what people are addicted to that matters as much as what's happening in the body to need that substance or thing. And that is what we want to help and change, is that root cause that's biochemistry. That is the need we want to meet so that the substance isn't needed or wanted anymore. If you've ever thought of an addict as a weak person with no willpower, your thinking is basically just wrong. Think of it this way. If I told you you could never have sugar again, ever, any kind of sugar, not a cookie, a soda, a piece of cake, a chocolate, a candy bar, a breath mint, anything that has corn syrup added to it, this would be more difficult than you think. This would be extremely difficult. What would it require of you to be successful? Or could you? And yet this is the same level of difficulty as what is required from someone trying to reach sobriety of any kind. Does it get easier over time? Yes, it does. Cravings do go away. Think of any craving you've had. If you don't respond to it, it is gone in an hour or two. But what we're going to address today is how do we fix the brain's biochemistry so that those cravings are no longer something that we need to fight. And while we're going to talk about root causes like neurotransmitter deficiencies, I'm also going to throw in another cause that is the number one reason that people relapse. Imagine you're trying not to have sugar, maybe to prove my earlier statements wrong. You're so busy one day at work that you don't have time to eat lunch and you never eat breakfast. You walk in the door after work exhausted, stressed out, and starving. Of course, you want to stay with your no sugar, prove Vonda wrong goal, but you spot the cupcakes left out after the someone's birthday. And this is one of those moments you just don't care anymore about proving Vonda wrong. The point is, when you allow your blood sugar to get too low, your resolve for anything is nearly impossible. This particularly applies to any attempt to stay clean and sober. Again, the number one reason for relapse is low blood sugar. Blood sugar drops also contribute to eating disorder behavior. So how do we keep blood sugar from looking like a roller coaster? Remember, when we eat simple sugars, simple carbs, it's going to go up, it's going to spike, and what comes up must come down. So we don't want it to do the spike up, spike down anymore. We want to keep our blood sugar steady. Carbs and sugars spike it, and a drop always follows. What doesn't spike it is fat and protein. They create a modest rise and then help to maintain blood sugar over the course of the day. So I'm going to remind you the 3 things about eating well, and it is a absolute must for someone who's trying to avoid addiction. Number 1 is eat real food. Number 2, eat regularly. And number 3, listen to your body. I have discussed these in other videos, but I want to go through them because it's so important. And we can't just fix the biochemistry of the neurotransmitters without also fixing this incredibly important day-to-day biochemistry. Eating real food means just that, food that's in its most natural state. And number 2 is eating regularly. If someone is trying to maintain sobriety, they should not go more than 2 to 3 hours without having a healthy snack or another meal. And the easiest suggestions here are to add more protein into the diet and more healthy fats. Healthy fats are coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, butter and ghee, avocado oil, and many of the nut-based oils. And number 3 on eating well is listening to your body. There is not one diet that is best for everyone. Every body is different and needs different things and doesn't tolerate certain things. So we have to listen to how our body responds to foods and what makes us in particular feel good. Okay, let's switch back to that brain chemistry that we're looking for with addictions, finding that imbalance or root cause that is contributing to the cravings. And again, we're going to look at neurotransmitters responsible for these cravings. If the brain is unbalanced, it will crave substances or behavior to balance it out. If the neurotransmitter serotonin is low, alcohol or other substances will usually be craved most in that late afternoon window from 3 to 5-ish. This is because when the sun begins to go down, the body responds by beginning to convert serotonin to melatonin. This is what preps us to be calm and ready for sleep at night. When serotonin is low, this drop is acutely felt and a craving kicks in. This craving can be for alcohol, sugar, an eating binge, a quick carb, or even some junk food. Anything basically that's going to give you that rush of serotonin. Anorexic behavior literally is the act of starving your body, also releases serotonin. All of these behaviors and substances bring about some backdoor version of balance to the brain, and it's temporary, it doesn't last, and so they reinforce the behaviors. Other symptoms when serotonin is the root cause can be negative depression, suicidal thoughts, obsessive thoughts or behaviors, anxiety and worry, and sleep issues. And again, the supplements for this are 5-HTP and tryptophan. If the addiction is more about the ritual, the romance of it, or the release, its likely root cause is endorphin or dopamine related. This is a new neurotransmitter that we're talking about, this endorphin dopamine category. So this is the person who might be a pot smoker, but they enjoy the rolling of the joint, or a wine drinker who loves their wine and enjoys the romantic part of it. This also applies to exercise and porn addiction, as well as to binging and purging behavior. All of these activities cause a release of endorphins. Endorphins allow us to feel pleasure, and they are also that pillow between us and pain. Other symptoms we might see, someone who is low in endorphins or dopamine, they're oversensitive, they might cry easily, they might need to have chocolate every day or think about chocolate every day, have a history of chronic pain. These are all indicators that endorphins could be low. The amino acids that boost endorphins and dopamine are called DPA and DLPA. The L stands for L-phenylalanine and is a little energizing. So if you have someone who's also having a hard time with energy or focus, that's the go-to amino acid. But if it's someone who has a lot of anxiety, is not sleeping well, we would go with DPA, which is D-phenylalanine. I've given DPA to clients in my office, and repeatedly I hear, especially from addicts, that they feel like they just took a hit or just had a glass of wine. Not the impairment part of the substance, but that rush to the brain that is literally getting a hit of endorphins. Low endorphins, low dopamine can also apply to exercise addiction, especially the person who has to exercise in order to feel okay or for their family members to be able to have a good day with them. Exercise not only releases endorphins, but other neurotransmitters as well. And of course, exercise is great, but having to exercise in order to be okay crosses that line of addiction. I've seen this with multiple clients where the partner makes sure no matter what they're doing on the weekends, there's time for the partner to exercise. I had a client who literally left his family in the car alongside the road on a vacation in order to get a run in. And I'm sure the family was happy about it because they would get a different person when he came back to the car. Addiction can also be about relieving stress, and this is the person who can't tolerate a social situation without drinking or taking something, a substance, ahead of time, or the person who needs the drinks or hits after work in order to calm down or shift gears. This person is also likely low in GABA, our body's natural Valium. And the amino acid that helps build up our GABA levels is GABA. You can buy the supplement just as it is. And we discussed GABA in video 1. There's also a supplement called GABA Calm that works very well for these sufferers. I understand this might seem like a too simple way of looking at addiction, and overcoming addiction often takes more than just a supplement. We need support. Often therapy or a 12-step program is warranted, and most certainly improving the diet and maintaining blood sugar all play a role. But as we confront the root cause of addiction, if we are looking at neurotransmitter balancing, we're going to be 80% there. Without this approach, we're asking people to white knuckle it and just suffer when it doesn't have to be that hard. I look forward to your questions and comments. I thank you for sticking with all 3 videos, and I will be doing more in-depth courses. This course was an overview of 4 very important issues that I see daily in my office. I also plan on posting a frequently asked questions section later based on your questions and feedback, and then I will make sure that everyone gets the copy of the frequently asked questions and answers. I've enjoyed sharing this learning space with all of you, and I look forward to more time together.